Okay, so, like I said, this is a new chapter, ionic bonds, ionic compounds. This goes directly with the flame test lab and the chemicals that you guys will be making next week. You have to understand how they work and what you're seeing, besides the excitement of the electrons. So we're going to start talking about the different kinds of chemical bonds. The first one we talk about is ionic bonds. An ionic bond is a complete transfer of electrons from a metal. What do we call an ion with a positive charge? Good. From a metal cation to a non-metal, and an ion with a negative charge is, okay, to a non-metal anion. So, they're always a metal plus a non-metal. So if you're in doubt whether it's an ionic bond, you can look, is it made of a metal and a non-metal? You can use your periodic table to figure that out. You can also go, is it made of a cation and an anion? Now we can use our periodic table and we can look up a lot of cation and anions. What you can't look up on the periodic table is what some of you are making, but most of you have, which is those polyatomic ions that are on those carbs. So we need to know the difference between the two. We're going to be using both in lab. So really there are two types of ionically bonded compounds. The first one is called a monatomic bond, and that would be between two atoms that become ions directly off the periodic table. So grab your periodic table for just a minute. Let's look at that so we can have an example. Okay, everybody, let's look at, let's find sodium on the periodic table. What group is sodium located in? 1. What would its charge be, Evan? Positive. So I can work with sodium, which is Na. In order to become positive, what does sodium have to do? Good. So minus an electron gives me, we did these before, Na plus. So I've got Na plus, which is a cation, and it's also a metal, an alkali metal. And it's also called a monatomic ion, because there's only one when I take it straight off the periodic table. And then let's find, wait just a second, everybody got it? Okay. Let's find, as part of this example, let's find Br on the periodic table, which is actually called, this is sodium. Find bromine. What happens to bromine? Evan? It becomes what? Good. It becomes an anion with what charge? Okay, negative. So if it's got a negative charge, What has to have happened to it? Yep. So I've got Br plus an electron gives me Br minus. So this is bromine. When I go over here, remember we talked about this before, it's called bromide. I always drop the ending and I add IDE. That's how I know it's an anion. This Br minus is an anion and it's also a nonmetal. So my goal when I'm making an ionic compound, I've got Na with a plus charge. I'm going to carry these down. I've got Br over here with a minus charge. The goal equals a neutral compound. Now, I started with something super easy for a reason. How do I make a neutral compound? I look at the charges, and then I say to myself, okay, does a 1 positive cancel out a 1 negative? Well, in other words, together do they equal 0? Yeah. So I don't have to do anything else but write it like that. And I should be able to say that is sodium bromide. So when you're given a name, you should be able to go to the periodic table for monatomic stuff and figure it out. I'm going to give you one more to try. See if you can figure this one out. And we'll talk about it. Let's try magnesium. And I want you to even write the name. Magnesium plus chlorine. So you have to think about the ions they form, how they become neutral, and what they would be called. See if you can do those 3 things. You got to find them on your periodic table, Mg, Cl. See what happens to them. See if you can make the compound and then name it. I don't want you to leave when the bell rings. I want to get through this little piece. Okay, let's start talking because I don't want to keep you too long. Evan, what's the charge on magnesium? Okay, so I've got Mg2 plus. Did everybody find that? Kira, what was it on chlorine? Okay, so I've got Cl minus. So when I look at this, if you're a visual person, you can really go plus, plus, and minus. And then you can look at it and go, okay, do these 2 positive charges cancel out on 1 minus? No. What do I need to do? I need to add another negative charge. So that's like plus Cl minus. Does that make sense? So now I've got a 2 minus and I've got a 2 positive, and they cancel each other out. And then I put my formula together and I get MgCl2. That's how I would write that. Who got that, honestly? No? We're going to work on them more tomorrow. What's this called, you guys? Magnesium what, Kira? Yay. Magnesium chloride.